Everybody, welcome to Britbox React. You're me, BP1 and BP2, and we're back with 11 American states that are larger than the UK. Now, if you're a follower of the channel, then you'll know that we did how big is the USA actually, because we weren't sure.
Yes.
Put it into perspectives. A lot of you commented and said, why don't we check out, we've done some stuff by Lawrence Brown before, this one that he's done. So we'll hear what Lawrence has to say, what visuals are on there to get a perspective of 11 states that are larger than the UK.
11 states that are larger than the UK. That's
sure
quite interesting.
I was thinking of Texas maybe, but I couldn't, and maybe California, but I can't think of
Oregon. I think one of the comments we got was somebody said that the state they lived in was 1 acre bigger than England. So depends. I'd be interesting to see where he goes with this. 11 states.
11. That's a lot.
We've done a few from Mr. Lost in the Pond. Some of them we don't quite agree with.
No, the fridge one was a little bit, like, putting us back in like the 1950s when actually we're the same or not far off.
And some of the ones that he used, a lot of the people that actually live in those places said we don't say that. So interesting. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
See what he's done.
They say size isn't everything, but let me tell you
it is. It is, Lawrence.
When I lived in England, I used to think that Manchester and London were really far apart. My perception of distance back then had been governed, I suppose, by the British Road Atlas and deceitful geography teachers. It was only once I moved to America that I saw England for what it truly was. An influential but tiny island floating on the shoulders of the much larger European continent. A kind of salacious crumb to Europe's Jabba the Hutt. But there's a reason Europe is so big. It's an entire flipping continent. The United States, on the other hand, is just one country, and it boasts a total area of 3.8 million square miles. Almost exactly the same as Europe. And while Europe is made up of major countries such as England, Germany and Lithuania, America is comprised of 50 states, one of which, California, has a GDP higher than Italy. America is massive, and to give you an idea of just how massive it is, I'm going to give you a rundown of 11 states that are actually bigger than the entire United Kingdom. That's right, the very same United Kingdom that is comprised of not one, not two, but 4 countries. But before we get going, please bear in mind that we're dealing with the total area and not just that of the land. In other words, water territories such as lakes, rivers and SeaWorld are all included in both the given area of the United Kingdom and all of the states. I've just realised that there isn't a SeaWorld in the United Kingdom, so that doesn't work. And so let's put an end to the suspense. Here are those 11 states that are bigger than the UK. Let me know in the comments below if your state made the list. In the meantime, strap in. This one is going to be big. Okay, to look at it, you're probably thinking that there's no way Michigan is larger than the UK, right? Well, this is where water territories play their part. Michigan is one of 2 states on this list with a stake in large bodies of water. We'll get to the other later. But Michigan lays partial claim to Lake Superior, Lake Huron, and Lake Michigan, the 2nd, 4th, and 5th largest lakes on the entire planet. And because of this, Michigan is equivalent to 1.03 UKs, which means the state is more or less the same size as our next entry. Now, contrary to popular belief, Wyoming is not a past progressive verb.
Right, I find this difficult because he's not putting a map up.
Yeah, it's hard to get the context, isn't it?
So he can say it, and I go, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't even know what Michigan looks like. Do you know what I mean?
No. Obviously, we knew the bits about, we kind of surmised that the lakes were in there, Lake Michigan being one of them.
Well, hang on.
Michigan,
US state, yeah.
Yes.
Now that's
up there in the top right-hand side. But you see, there's the lake. There's the 3 lakes around it. You see.
So that's what he's. Okay. So. All right. Okay, so that's pretty big, isn't it? At the end of the day,
it is pretty big, and like you say, I mean, I can see what he's cheated a little bit there by including the bodies of water. Obviously, you're going across into Canada on the right hand side there, but he's nicked a bit of those lakes. I
mean, that is a big body of water, isn't it?
It is a large body of water, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.
Get it. I'm learning about America.
Now we're going to Wyoming, so you might as well type that in there.
Oh. This is where... Oh, there you go.
Right, so now we've gone to the other side.
Okay, Wyoming.
Yeah,
all right.
Fair.
Is that just a square? It can't be.
Well, that's what it's picked up.
Yeah, but then they're not all squares, are they?
No. But you can see that a lot of that, Wyoming, is probably quite desolate by the looks of it.
Yeah, it looks like a huge landmass. All right, let's keep going. Let's see what he says.
Okay.
No, it's an American state, of course, and at 1.03 UKs, it's a rather big one too. That said, it is home to a relatively small number of people, whereas the UK houses about 64 million people. Wyoming is home to just 550,000. No. It's because of this that Wyoming is the second least densely populated state in the Union. What's number one, you ask? We'll get to that later. But first, over to Rick Steves for this travel report.
Way out on the west coast, beneath my home state of Washington, is Little Oregon, a tiny coastal state that is home to the adorable city of Portland. And oh my God, it is 1.04 UKs. That's right, because the state is essentially one giant and by all accounts beautiful rectangle, most of Oregon's residents don't actually live on the coast. In fact, some of them live nearer to the aforementioned Wyoming than they do to the Pacific. And if you ask me, they should all go and pay those lonely Wyomingites a visit. That didn't sound as creepy in my head. Full disclosure, the Centennial State of Colorado is actually the furthest west I've ever been. And I can tell you this for nothing. There is a boatload of land out there. Actually, boat is probably the wrong phrase. Poor phrasing. There's a lot of open land is what I'm saying. And so all the more surprising then that Colorado boasts the lowest number of light vehicle per every 1,000 people in the entire US. In fact, amazingly, Colorado, a staggering 1.11 UKs, is one of only two states for whom this statistic is actually lower than the UK national figure. The other is Nevada. Oh, Nevada. Home to Las Vegas, secret alien experiments, and legalized prostitution, and sometimes all three at once. I've just realized that does not work. That would be an awful mess. But of course, Nevada is much more than all of those things, which is just as well because it's the seventh largest state in America and is equivalent to 1.17 UKs. That's like the UK plus Fiji with Bermuda thrown in for good luck. A sort of jazzed up alternate Bermuda Triangle, perhaps, which obviously brings us back to aliens, which brings us on to Arizona. Actually, Arizona isn't that friendly to aliens. But the first thing I think of when somebody mentions Arizona is a giant hole in the ground. And that's not an underhand description of Arizona itself. There is literally a giant crater in the middle of Arizona caused by a meteor collision 50,000 years ago, or aliens, probably aliens. But this alien didn't intend to talk about the power.
All right, a lot going on here.
A lot going on. So obviously I'm learning a bit more about the states and where they are in the US, but obviously the chunk of land, because obviously in the UK we've got a thin strip, a thicker strip, a little bit. We've got Scotland, we've got Northern Ireland at the top, Wales sticks out. I suppose if you do put them all together in landmass, and then put them against these, it's just like a giant square of landmass. So I can understand now where he said, 11 American states are larger than the UK. I suppose, point to point, they probably aren't. But they have the width in the square. We know that Texas point to point is bigger than the driving UK. So I mean it's.
But I mean, interesting that was it Wyoming? 500,000 people total,
mate.
And the size of it. I mean, but as we have said in one of our other ones, one of our lovely commenters, Lynn, said she lives on a road that's 12 miles long and she's got 6 neighbours. I mean, that is just mind-blowing, isn't it? It's like, we can't get our head around that.
We can't. I think, and he was right when he said right at the beginning, the distance between Manchester and London is like, you think, wow, it's a long old way. But actually, in the grand scheme of things in America, it is next door.
Yeah. Definitely.
So it's pretty crazy for us inklings Brits to think about that sort of distance. When
major upheaval to go to London, isn't it? 45 minutes into London.
Space, in the UK is a problem, really. We do have our rural areas, but we are there's not a lot of space, and land costs a lot of money in the UK. Just a few square meters or whatever. I know, to build an extension, for instance, per square meter at the moment, it's about £2,500-3,000 per square meter. It's space is something that comes at a cost there in the UK, doesn't it? For sure. Yeah. All right, let's keep going then. Arizona.
Paranormal, but the staggering fact that Arizona is 1.21 UKs. Heck, the Grand Canyon also is longer than the distance between Liverpool and Brighton. And if that doesn't blow your mind, remember this.
Really?
We still have 5 bigger states to come. The next of which is Arizona's neighbour to the east. Of course, New Mexico, the site of Project Quantum Leap, Breaking Bad, and Blimey O'Reilly, the Roswell
he's getting
incident.
Louder.
He's getting a bit loud.
What is going on? Are extraterrestrials just fond of the southwest climate or something? Perhaps they thought signs for Albuquerque said Alderaan. Good luck breaking that one to them. Either way, New Mexico is equal to 1.29 UKs, which is roughly the size of Poland. And if that weren't ludicrous enough, our next entry takes your Poland and raises you a Japan. Not literally. That would be like the film 2012 with John Cusack.
Okay.
Nobody wants that. Now, Japan has little, of course, to do with Montana's cultural makeup, but rather its size.
Montana.
And not only is this particular rocky state about the same size as Japan area-wise, but it's also larger than the nation of Germany. I'll let that sink in. Montana, a state of 1 million people, with a GDP of about $45,000, is more expansive than a nation whose economy is the 4th strongest on the planet.
Wow.
When you consider this fact, you really start to see just what a miserably small country the UK really is.
Hang on.
There.
Because when all's said and done...
Do you think someone abused him in the UK and that's why he's had to go abroad,
I think he's pegged it over there, yeah.
He obviously is not had... Considering he's got pictures of London buses and stuff... The miserable... I mean, excuse me, we're not miserable over here. We're happy little chappies out here. We might be, we might be small, but we got big hearts, my old mucker. And if you want to run away with your heart over to the US, then happy days. But we might be small, but we're good.
And your small fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, bring that one over here.
But one thing he is doing very well is showing me the sort of scales that we're looking at here. I mean, I never really comprehended the size of America. I knew it was big, and I knew it took getting on a plane still takes God knows how many hours to get across it. And you think about that, how long it actually takes to get to America from here. Yeah, you get that again to get the other side. Pretty much, it's pretty crazy. So I knew it was big, but this is. He's producing a good way of showing me, and me darting around the map here as we go is showing me the sort of scales and people. Tiny amount of people, 1 million people in something like the size of Germany.
I know, unbelievable. You could see there when you brought the map up on Montana, there's 3 sort of Indian reservations, so that's obviously where they got put up there. Blackfeet Indian Reservation, Crow Reservation, and the Fort Peck Indian. So and the Flathead Reservation. So 4 by the looks of it. Crikey, they must have pushed them all up there. Cheyenne River. Yeah. Interesting. Yep. All right, let's
keep going.
Montana is an enormous 1.56 UKs. Montana, you're massive and you need to be stopped. And I've got just the opponent. It has the 6th largest GDP in the world. Its population is roughly 8 times that of Scotland, and it would absolutely batter Hannah Montana over there, and the state of Montana. Such is its size, California is more or less the nation of Paraguay disguised as a giant sock.
I mean, it does look... I mean, what is he doing now? Right, okay.
A sock that is equal to 1.74 UKs, a sock that doesn't have a matching sock, and a sock that hopefully gets washed more than once a week. Also on America's laundry list is the next entry, which, if you're really, really drunk, sort of resembles a pair of underpants.
You are?
Oh, God, here we go. I don't know, mate. You think is that Texas?
Now, while the sentence, Texas looks like a big pair of underpants,
it doesn't.
might not go down too well in,
I don't
Texas.
know what he's got going on down there.
Please be aware that I am an equal opportunity offender. For
My
example,
pants don't look
the
like
UK
that.
looks like the Wicked Witch of the West riding a pig.
Must have washed them with. All right.
Right, a witch riding a pig. Okay, I get it.
And now that I've shown you that, I would go and wash those underpants immediately. But don't be too scared, Texas, because you are much bigger than the UK. In fact, you are... Wow, Texas, you are absurdly big. The biggest state in the Union. And the more I look at you on the map, the more I realise that you really shouldn't mess with Texas. Not at all. No, sir. Unless, Julie Andrews in a fridge, you're not the biggest state in the Union.
Julie Andrews in a fridge. Alaska, yeah. Well, that is quite big up there, and not a lot of it.
Consider yourself well and truly messed with. This is just mind-boggling. You're bigger than space. You're 7.05 UKs.
Really?
Hey, Alaska, stop what you're doing and become a continent right now. What the... How...
He needs to chill out a little bit because I'm not even too excited, and he knows what he's talking about, and I'm not. So yeah, I mean Alaska. It's absolutely
humongous,
huge, isn't it? I mean, we can just see on the map. There we go. There's us little inklings there, and there's Alaska. Yeah, I mean that is incredible, isn't it?
It is massive,
isn't it?
Not many places there, though, are there?
There isn't. No. There isn't many places.
Fairbanks, there's not many that I would actually know
not
either.
Inland, I suppose. Fairbanks looks like the biggest place inland.
Inland, yeah. And then
there's a few places. Minto. There's places dotted about.
Coldfoot, I bet you do get Coldfoot up there.
Wow. Arctic Village. There's a place to go and get your beach towel out, isn't it?
Hey.
All right, Alaska.
Dear.
Let's
Just
keep going. Village. Let's keep going. Mr. Excitable.
You ate all the pies, Alaska. You ate all the pies. Remember earlier when I said Michigan was one of 2 states on this list with a stake in large bodies of water?
Right.
Well, you're looking at the other one. Well, you're not looking at it. You're reading the word Alaska.
Well, I am looking at it.
But this behemoth is 13% water. But hold on, Texas. Hold on. Because before you get Napoleonic syndrome and start overcompensating for everything, remember first off that Rhode Island is a thing. Remember what I said earlier about Wyoming being the second least densely populated state in the Union? Well, Alaska blows it out of the water. Pun intended. Sure, if Alaska were a country, and why in the name of Dick Van Dyke isn't it? It would be the 17th largest nation on the planet. Yet, only 738,000 people actually live there. That's lower than Rhode Island. It just goes to show you that size isn't everything. That's it for this episode of Lost in the Pond. Remember.
Right.
Okay.
Chopping out now.
Wow. He was getting a bit loud there, but yes, obviously there's not much up there to people for going moving there.
Difficult to see on a map like this, a 2D map, because it's not always because visually you could say, oh my god, Alaska is almost as big as half the US, but yeah, it's difficult because of the way the Earth is, unless you're looking at it on a globe. Wow, what can you say?
Interesting again. Some very fun facts of the way that he presents it all. It's hard to get your head around, especially without visually seeing it. So hopefully we'll have helped some people out by chucking up the map there and showing what he was talking about. Because otherwise we'd have had no idea ourselves.
Hopefully you got a globe like this.
Okay.
Because you can see, if I look on when you see it on a globe, you see it very, very different. Okay. Because here we can say, like I said, it looks like it's half the United States. If you look at Russia, look how big Russia seems on a 2D map, whereas actually this point here on the left to Russia and the point over here on the right to Russia is actually less than the width of Africa. So unless you've got a globe like this where you can truly see, here, where am I here? You can see Alaska up here.
up on there it is. Yeah.
It's not as it's big, but it's not too big compared to what we're seeing on the screen here. Whereas actually the US is big. It's just the way, see the bulgeness of the Earth. But yeah, do check it out on the globe, because this is real. The 2D thing that you're seeing up here is not a fair representation on a visual way of looking at the Earth. There you go.
You're a flat Earth believer.
Unless you're a flat Earth believer.
Then your globe is pants.
Yeah, it is. In fact, I should burn it.
But okay, interesting. So a lot of places in America bigger than the UK.
Wow. Fair enough. Brilliant. Great to see. Let us know in the comments. It was a subscriber that sent us this. Make sure you link something if you want us to check out something in the US that us little British minds, as Lawrence said, miserable minds.
Maybe we should pop over into Canada. Have a look out there.
Yeah, that looks pretty big as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
It does indeed. All right.
Well, thanks for joining us at BritPop's React until tomorrow for another wonderful reaction. Maybe. Who knows? Join us anyway. It's goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from him.
Oh, dearie me. I'm going to get some pies, mate.
Misery.
I'm not happy that they were eating all the pies. I want a bit.